So we just had an amazing preview just showcased for Etheria Restart, and I felt like this is the time to finally break down everything. We're gonna jump into it, and we're gonna also take the time to introduce Etheria, especially for all of you new faces that are coming in trying to figure out what exactly the world of Etheria is. Etheria Restart is a strategic turn-based card RPG game where you're going to be set in a virtual city in the future where you as the hyperlinker are going to have to uncover the hidden truths that are hidden in Etheria. Now, when you first get into the world of Etheria, one of the main things you're going to be focused on is going to be the main quest. The main quest is really important because not only is this the story component of the game, but this is also going to be leading you to unlocking the challenges. Now, when you get into the challenges, you're going to have a few different things that you'll be focused on, right? Now, the first thing is going to be your daily challenges, which is going to be things like the Grim Pursuit for shell drops, which is your shell companions that you can bring into combat. Then you also have the Threshold, which is for your module drops, which is going to be your gear. You also have the Investigation, which is going to have Animus EXP for leveling your characters, and the GP Outpost, which is going to have prowess material, which is going to help you raise those skill level values, okay? Now, of course, in each of these, there's going to be an array of different bosses. Just to quickly show you guys, right? There's a lot of different bosses that you're going to be tackling and a lot of different stages you're going to be completing as you go throughout the game, and at least just your daily challenges alone. But once you get comfortable with this, you're going to take it up a notch and get into your trial challenges, where your trial challenges, you'll be able to take on things like the Phantom Theater, where you'll be able to do cooperative battles with other players on the game and tackle a massive cooperative boss. Now, you also have things like the Ember Abyss, which is going to be super fun for those that love challenging tower content, and you'll be able to traverse and go throughout that. But this is just some of the amazing things that you'll be able to encounter when you first jump into Etheria. As far as PvP, there are a slew of different things that you can do to customize and personalize the experience of it so that you can make it more enjoyable and also more competitive. Now, with the Etheria, we're going to be able to have seasons where we'll be able to tackle fighting different compositions that we all place within our own respective formations. Now, you can set your own formation here, and after you set your own formation, this is just random by the way, you can confirm that formation, and then you're good to go challenge other team comps, right? Now, we also have the Summit Arena, which is going to be our RTA, where you'll be able to actually go in here and fight other players live, right? And of course, with that, you will be ranked, you will have placement matches, and as well as rank matches where you'll be able to then gain and climb the ladder so that you can get more resources and rewards and bragging rights to say who's the best. Now, on top of that, for those of you guys that want that more personalized experience to run hands with friends, you can create your own personalized rooms where you can go in here and change the settings, where you can do auto accept to private, as well as being able to display rank or disable room chat or enable it. You can also make it to where you can have customized rules that allow you to have more things such as how many battle rounds, Animus bands, and or if you have first pick or if it's randomized or alternated. So there's a lot of different things that you'll be able to take advantage of to make this more enjoyable. So I definitely think that you should partake in it. Make sure that you guys pre-register for the beta that's going to be happening on January 9th. It goes live, and I don't want you guys to be missing out, so make sure you're here and you're locked in. Now, as far as some of the amazing things that were showcased in the preview, we actually have some brand new units that are going to be coming into the game, which we'll get into in a moment. But they also announced that we're going to have a brand new boss called Nico Kana coming into the game, and this is going to be another shell content boss that we're going to have introduced into the game. Now, this boss is going to have its own said gimmicks, which we're going to be diving into in another video, but this is also going to be introducing 5 new shell companions that we can take into combat, which is going to further diversify what we're able to do team composition wise, and it's making it more so that even if you and another person have the exact same unit, you can have a different variation of that unit with the shell companion and being able to mix and match the buffs and abilities that you're going to be be able to get, which is really cool. Now, of course, on top of that, they also announced that there is going to be 2 brand new game modes that are going to be transpiring, the Cubic Game and Dazzler Pulse. Now, with the Cubic Game, this is something I'm really excited for personally, because this is going to be boss challenge content. Now, this is going to be done in a very unique way where we're going to be able to take magic cards, and with these magic cards, it is going to adjust the level difficulty of these different fights, as well as the effects that will happen and the rewards that we'll be able to gain. There is going to be a divination shop that is owned by Lily, where we'll be able to get different bosses and rewards based on the tarot cards that we utilize in this game mode, and we can basically choose these cards based on their strengths and the desired rewards. So we have a lot of control in this game mode, which I think is going to be really, really fun. Now, lastly, as far as the new game modes go, we have the Dazzler Pulse, and this is going to be brought to us by Shida, which is the top idol from the XD Entertainment. And what's really cool about this is that this is going to be the game's first music-themed gameplay, right? And that's something that I'm actually really excited for, because this will give us a little bit of something else to do outside of just our turn-based strategy. And especially for those of you guys that are going to end up loving this game just as much as I do, it'll give you something else to kind of indulge and just dive into in the world of Etheria. Now, there is going to be the Concerto shop, which we'll be able to take advantage of, where you can utilize Concerto badges to be able to exchange for items such as the anima prototypes and photographs, which is just going to essentially be utilized to make your units much stronger, so that you can be more competitive if you want to be, more competitive in PvP, or even just being able to tackle some of the Colossus fights that are going to be in PvE. Now, before we get into some of the banger units that are going to be coming as far as the SSRs within the game, I did want to mention lastly the RTA update that is happening within the game. Now, RTA has been revamped once again, and we're getting it updated to where it is going to have cross-server matchmaking. This is absolutely huge, because now we can literally be anywhere in the globe and we can compete with each other. This is also something that they are pushing, which I really, really am excited for us to be able to organize small scale competitions and just being able to duke it out and just really giving ourselves the opportunity to have bragging rights. I think that that's really, really cool. Now, the rooms are going to be customizable with a whole bunch of different things, such as match counts with different pre-brand rules, BP rules, and as well as randomizing the turn orders to allow you to have flexibility to create different variations and challenges to make this fun, okay? Now, additionally, we're also going to be having something called the FCI Cup, and this is the Fusion Cup invitation, where the online global RTA competition featuring content creators such as myself and many of others will be able to compete and just have a great time. So I don't want you guys to miss out on that. That should be taking place on January 11th. So make sure you guys are there, or you are definitely square. I mean, that's just what it is. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and let's get into some of these SSRs that are coming into the game. First, we're starting off with Veronika. Now, Veronika is actually so freaking sick. And I have to say that the design choice that they decided to go with this character just absolutely pops. And I really love the fact that she still seems to fit within the universe. And then, of course, on top of that, the icing on top of the cake is that she actually has a very useful kit. In the very first skill, Shadowthorn, not only is she able to inflict a attack break, but every single time that she's hit, at the end of her turn, she's going to be able to turn meter push herself. And this is going to be absolutely insane when we're talking about turning the tide of a fight, because this is going to enable that. And so I'm really excited to see her in some PvP, because that's going to be really insane. Now, when we're talking about the second skill, Soul Bloom, the Soul Bloom ability is actually quite interesting, because this is going to be an HP based ability. It's going to be taking at max up to 20% based off of her own HP from all enemies, and then taking that HP value and allowing her to convert that into shield to apply to her entire party. So this is not only an ability that's going to work extremely well in things like RTA or PvP, but this is also going to work extremely well in PvE, where you're going to be going up against a ton of different ads, enemies, and even in some of the boss fights, they're going to have different waves of different types of enemies that you're going to have to deal with as well. So this is going to be a huge asset. And to tie her entire kit all together, we have the Spirit Circle for her ultimate, which is not only going to be dealing massive damage, but it's also going to be stealing the buff from that target, or whatever buffs that target has, and sharing it with her entire party. And then she's able to then give this is the extra icing, a buff called Soul Ward, which is going to allow her allies to not have their HP threshold lowered below 1 HP, which means that they can't take fatal damage. So she's going to be insane to pair with some of the stronger units in the game that's able to offer shield. And of course, we're going to talk more about those strategies, but I gotta say, this unit on her own, in her own respective right, is absolutely insane. Next up, we have Celince, and I feel like this unit is going to be another great addition to anyone's party. Now, as far as some of the gimmicks that she has that I find to be really cool, and for those of you guys that want to have more of a trickster kind of play style, but still maintain some of that tankiness, she's going to have an ability called Toxic Drizzle here. Now, what's really cool about this ability is that not only does it have the chance to do some pretty nice single target damage, but then it also has the opportunity to randomly inflict a debuff, either being DOT, which is damage over time, the ability to silence, which essentially makes it to where only the skill 1 can be used, and or an ability called Oblivion, which is where the passive effects that the opponents have cannot be triggered. And so this is something that I feel like some people are really going to enjoy, with being able to maybe stop somebody from passive healing or passive countering, and a lot of different other effects that might transpire within the game that you might come across. But not only is she able to debuff, but she also has some support buffing utility that's going to protect your team. Now, of course, with that, you are going to be getting the Healing Mist ability coming from her, where not only is she going to be able to apply a shield based off of her own HP to the party, but what makes this shield unique is that the shield is going to be able to absorb a certain amount of damage and then reflect damage back at the target. So this is going to be a absolutely insane ability when you're talking about going up against really high DPS but low, or I would say squishy DPS in terms of their HP values. So this is a really cool gimmick that she's able to take advantage of to help, again, turn the tide of battle potentially. And lastly, to tie Celince's entire kit all together, you have the Grim Deluge, which is not only a multi-hit ability, but this is also going to inflict an attack break as well as a crit rate decrease. And this is massive because, again, you're going to come up against opponents that might have high value DPS and they might be trying to nuke you, and you can completely nullify that. But this is also going to offer you some value in PvE content, where you might be having things that are either DPS bursting you really hard or critting at an absolutely insane interval. So she gives you a lot of value and utility in those respective regards, and I feel like she's, again, going to be an amazing asset to anyone's account that's able to get her. Last and definitely not least, we have Hoyan. Now, I gotta say, this is my favorite character design so far from the new units that are coming into the game, and man, can we just talk about the wigs? I mean, and we're not talking about chicken, but she is absolutely insane looking. Now, when we're looking at the very first ability, this is going to be a huge counteraction to some of the strongest supports in the game. Again, even with units that might slightly heal, having her have a ability like Relentless Hunt, where she is able to proc a anti-heal, is going to be absolutely massive. And this is something that is going to be at her advantage, considering that she is a counter-attack based unit. And this is going to be extremely valuable in PvP, by the way. Now, of course, on top of that, we have her second ability, which is called Disillusion. And Disillusion is really insane because she has a buff that is undispellable called Fleeting Glance, where each stack is going to be able to increase her attack essentially. Now, the thing is that the longer that the fight transpires, the more that this buff is going to stack, and she is going to be an absolute problem. Now, of course, with that, what she's also able to do is that when she is about to be defeated, she can immediately restore a certain amount of HP threshold to herself, and then she uses her execution right on a target that just attacked her. And the cool thing is that on top of all of these things, right, when we get into her last skill, the execution right, that is going to be procced in the S2, is technically her ultimate. She is able to consume a certain portion of her own HP, and that is what makes the restoration in the skill 2 work, is because she's basically giving herself back the value that she just took. Now, the kicker to this though is that when she initially uses execution right and she takes away her own HP, she's able to then deal a significant amount of damage to the opponent that she is hitting. And with every percentage of HP value that she has, ignoring 5% of defense for every 10% of her maximum HP loss, she is essentially able to increase the ignore defense threshold or effect that she has against the opponent. So again, the more HP that she takes away from herself, the more damage she can actually deal and the more defense she can ignore. So this becomes quite problematic because this character is just going to be able to wreak havoc the longer she's there. And because she is a counter-attack based unit, she doesn't need to necessarily be fast. And that's something that is going to be really nice for those that might want to take a more slower approach and doesn't, necessarily want to lean too much into the speed metas that might end up existing. And of course, on top of all of that, she can also bring an ally back to life if she is able to kill the opponent that she hits. So I'm just gonna say this right here, right now. I have to have this character. So again, she's going to be a huge, huge asset to anyone that is able to get her. Now, with all of that being said, we have to thank Etheria Restart for sponsoring today's video. Once again, guys, this is so important. Please make sure that you guys check out the links down below. Make sure you pre-register for January 9th for when the beta goes live for everyone. And as well, make sure you guys stay tuned in for January 11th, where we'll be having the FCI Invitation Cup. That is something I don't want you guys to miss. We will be streaming everything here on the channel, making videos. It is full coverage central. So make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel. I absolutely, truly appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this. And I hope you guys all have a blessed day. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you next time.